My mom is being the nightmare mother-in-law to my wife right now, and I snapped at her recently over this and have laid some boundaries down, but I'm questioning my reaction to her. So my wife, Kenzie, 25, and I, 25 male, have been married for just over a year and we're expecting our first child this year. This will be my parents' first grandchild, and this has caused some craziness from my mom. She has aimed most of this at Kenzie, but I did step in when I learned how pushy my mom had become. This started right after our pregnancy announcement. My mom went to Kenzie and told her we should name our child Roger if we had a boy and Elizabeth if we had a girl. Roger was my mom's grandfather, and she wanted to name me or one of my brothers Roger, but Dad vetoed the name every time. Elizabeth is her favourite girl's name, and my dad vetoed that for my sisters too. Kenzie told her we weren't looking for name suggestions and that we'd already discussed a few. My mom told her the names were important and should be used. A couple of weeks after the first incident, my mom asked Kenzie if she knew whether baby Roger or baby Elizabeth was joining the family. Kenzie told her neither of those names was in the running and we didn't know yet. Kenzie mentioned Mom bringing up the names to me then, but downplayed how pushy she was, so I said nothing. We learned we were having a boy and my mom became so pushy that she ordered blankets and clothes with the name Roger embroidered on them. The first we knew of this was when she gave us a little door decoration with the name Roger on it. I told my mom then that we still needed to finalise a name and would announce it after he's here anyway. She went to Kenzie again and told her she was making her angry by refusing to comply. They argued about it and Kenzie told me about it afterward. I talked to my mom and clarified some things, and she asked why nobody in this family wanted to use the name she loved. I told her she should work through that herself because we are not obligated to use them. She then sent a gift package with all the clothes and a blanket with the name Roger, and she sent them to my wife and posted them on social media. This made people assume we had chosen the name Roger. This is when I lost it and confronted her about the pushiness. She told me it was important to take her opinion on board as my mom and our son's grandma. And that's when I told her that she had zero rights to name our baby and her opinion wasn't wanted or important here. My mom told me it was rude to dismiss her opinion and feelings as unimportant and that I should have more respect for her. It made me realise we need space from her right now, but also I do wonder if I went too far. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but you didn't go far enough. You sit Mom down and have a come-to-Jesus moment. Tell her you and Kenzie are stepping back from her for the rest of the pregnancy because of her actions. Your wife should not be subjected to this crazy. I'm betting she brings it up every time you talk on the phone or in person. Tell Mommy not so dearest that Roger will not be your son's name. You keep giving her hope by saying you haven't decided. Tell her no. Even if you loved it before, that name is tainted now. Tell her she's gone too far and you're stepping back to enjoy what's left of the pregnancy. Then grey rock her. She doesn't get any more info. Have Kenzie block her and anyone else that gives her crap. Everything goes through you. Then, for the cherry on top, you tell Mom if she doesn't completely drop this name crap and any other shenanigans like recruiting any family to harass you all, then the little one will never meet her. She had her chance, and this baby is yours and your wife's and yours to name, not hers. Oh honey, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Her entitlement to this baby, because he's your child and you belong to her, is in full flow. She sees herself as more important than his mommy. When she said, "You should have more respect for me," she meant, "You need to give in to my demand." If you don't nip this controlling, delusional behavior in the bud, she's going to continue to act as though your wife is just an incubator for her do-over baby, and that's unacceptable. About 3 years ago, my stepsister Daphne got pregnant. She and her husband Jim were thrilled, but found out at the 20-week scan that the baby had a congenital condition and would be born severely disabled. Daphne decided to keep going with the pregnancy despite Jim's protests, and they split up, but they got back together by the time their son Liam was born. He's now a toddler. Over the last 2 years, Daphne's and Jim's mental health has declined significantly. Daphne used to be a positive and pleasant person, but now it's impossible to converse with her. She's malicious and envious and flies off the handle at any perceived slight. When I was having my child, I didn't speak to her for most of the pregnancy because of how bitter and selfish she was. We don't live close to Daphne, so we rarely see her in person, but I heard she was getting worse from our parents. In early November, Daphne had a mental breakdown. She trashed Liam's room completely and vandalized Jim's car in a fit of rage. This was enough to finally get her moved up the waiting list for mental health services, and she started therapy. She reached out to me during this time, and we had a few conversations. I invited her and Jim to visit my husband and me for a March vacation at our beach house. Then we saw Daphne and Jim over Christmas, and it was awful. Daphne could keep herself in check for a couple of hours, but then she would revert to her old self. She would swear constantly, and while I know Liam can't understand her, I think swearing at kids isn't okay. Whenever I expressed concern for her, she would just snap that I needed to get off my high horse about having a perfect child. Jim was snapping at her constantly. He also constantly asked to hold or play with my child, which got annoying. Overall, the whole Christmas break was just the whole family being anxious over the situation. My husband finally said a week ago that he didn't want Daphne and Jim visiting, and I agreed. I called Daphne and said that something had come up with my husband's work and we needed to cancel the trip. Daphne was furious. Apparently her therapist had been saying how good this break would be for her. They haven't been on vacation since having Liam, and I owed her this one thing to help her. Eventually she gave up and said I was horrible for pulling the rug out from under her and hung up. I feel bad if I'm derailing her recovery, and even my parents think I shouldn't have cancelled, which is making me rethink things. They saw how horrible she was to me over Christmas, they saw how obsessed Jim became with my child, and they still think I should have put that aside. They're generally not the keep the peace people, so maybe I'm in the wrong. Am I the idiot here? Edit, another thing that gets thrown in my face a lot is that I won't lend or gift Daphne money to hire specialised care. Not the idiot. While your sister's mental health issues are tragic, her behaviours during Christmas pretty much told you what you and your family can expect during another visit. You most certainly did not derail her recovery. Part of therapy is learning to deal with setbacks. She needs much more help than you can provide, including finding specialised babysitting for her son. You don't owe her or your parents the stress that she will put you and your family under. Cancelling the trip was the right call. You won't be able to predict what she'll do. Your stepsister has a history of destructive behaviour, trashes rooms, vandalises cars, and you're supposed to play nice during a vacation. Your own mental health and your family's well-being matter too. Also, it looks like she's getting too attached to your child. I know this comment isn't helpful to OP, but when professionals advise you to terminate one's pregnancy, one should heed that advice. They have real-life, ongoing consequences for the child, parents, and extended family. Daphne made a very selfish decision and is now expecting everyone to help. I post my food pics from when I eat on Instagram. It's just for fun. I spend 30 minutes a week on it, tops. My boyfriend is a very sweet guy in many ways, but one thing that I'm not so much a fan of is that he often hops on the bandwagon of hating innocent things. Not just liking something, but making sure everyone knows he doesn't like it, or even if nobody asked. I can't help but notice a theme. Pumpkin spice lattes, pouty selfies, Taylor Swift, etc. As you can guess, he dislikes the food pictures and thinks it's annoying and cringeworthy. He doesn't even follow my Instagram, even though he has an account. Even though I don't have many followers, I've started getting occasional offers and invitations from restaurants in my city to try their food for free in exchange for a review. Nothing crazy, no steak dinners so far, but I've gotten a few sandwiches and several baked goods. Well, I just hit the big leagues and got invited to a new restaurant opening with a free appetizer and entree for me and one guest. I immediately invited one of my Instagram friends, with whom I've gone out to eat on several occasions, and who also enjoys taking food photos. I told my boyfriend, and he's angry that I'm not taking him and says I'm doing it out of spite. I think I'm not. If the restaurant gives me free food in exchange for a post, I will put more effort into the post and spend a few extra minutes ensuring I get very good shots. I'd rather do it with someone who isn't going to sigh and roll their eyes through the whole thing. Also, I think it's pretty audacious of him to be actively unsupportive of an activity that hurts no one, but then also expects to benefit when it's successful. Your gut feeling about this is absolutely correct. You're there to do a job, essentially, and his bad attitude would hinder you from getting it done right. Not the idiot. I also want to gently point out, as a married woman of 21 years, that for a relationship to work and be healthy and happy, your partner needs to be supportive of the things you're excited about. They don't have to be interested themselves, but they do need to encourage and lift you up. Your boyfriend is disdainful of your passion. Did you know disdain has been scientifically proven to be one of 4 predictors of future divorce? True story. To gently point out, the things he actively hates are all associated with women. No, he doesn't have to like it at all, but actively hating is part of misogyny. I don't think this is a good guy. He sounds exhausting with his "I'm cooler than everybody because I hate popular things" attitude. Go and have fun with someone who isn't a sourpuss. Enjoy your dinner. I think my sister needs to get over herself and realize she put herself where she is now. She thinks I'm insensitive and should care more about family, so here we go, I guess. My sister and I grew up in a 2-bedroom trailer. Our parents had 5 kids. It was as trashy as it gets. Our family was poor as dirt. Our mom was a waitress and our dad worked construction. I told myself I wouldn't live like that as an adult and would make better choices than my parents. My sister did pretty much exactly what our parents did. She got pregnant at 16 and kept it even though abortion was an option. She's had 5 more kids since then, though the triplets weren't her fault. For some reason, there are a lot of multiple baby pregnancies in our family history. My sister doesn't work because they can't afford daycare, and her boyfriend, the father of just the triplets, works as a bartender at Chili's. They live in a smaller apartment and want to move but have bad credit. My sister looked on the offender registry and now she's afraid because a bunch of them live in her neighborhood. She keeps telling me that she wants me to give her money, saying things like, praying for a miracle that I somehow get the money to move my kids into a better neighborhood. Recently, my husband and I took a New Year's week trip. It's been frigid and going to Ibiza for a week was refreshing. I posted pictures on my social media so my friends could see them and my nosy co-workers. My sister commented that I shouldn't flaunt my life when my family members struggle to get by. I texted her and told her not to post petty comments on my social media where my co-workers can see, and that if she has something to say, she needs to just say it. She asked me for money, and I said no, and she was all mad at me. I don't understand her thought process. I work really hard for everything I have. She's made bad choices that left her where she is. Am I the idiot for posting my life where my sister can see? Not the idiot. Nobody forced her to look at your pictures. If you give her money, she will have more kids. She's probably going to anyway, but it'll be a waste. Yep, she is living the consequences of her actions. Sharing your experiences isn't flaunting. She's just jealous. She made her choices and you made yours. You are not obligated to fund her choices. When your nibblings are older, you can buy them things they need directly to help your sister out, or take them on vacation, but you don't need to subsidize your sister's choices. It would be different if she lost everything to a fire, or if one of them needed expensive medical treatment. Then it would be good to help her. OMG, a first unplanned pregnancy is an accident. 3 more is a lifestyle choice. Your sister has made choices, and now she can live with them. She should investigate programs that provide childcare assistance and seeing it's enough to get her into the workforce. But it's not on you to bail her out. I'd pay for her to get her tubes tied, nothing else. I, female 28, have been divorced from my daughter's father for the last 5 years. My daughter is a young grammar schooler and has started to question why her parents aren't together. I've always told her that we would speak about the conversation when I felt she was mature enough. But lately, the past month, she's been asking more and more and finally said, well, my dad has told me why, so I don't understand why you can't. Her father, 29 male, has been speaking to my child and telling her his side of the events that led to us no longer being together. Now my daughter has anger towards me as she thinks I'm keeping secrets from her, but I just keep telling her that conversation is between adults and not a child. I've been with my partner, male 30, for about 2 years and recently had a new addition to our family. We've always done things together, never leaving my daughter out. But as of a couple of days, she says she no longer loves him as he's the reason her dad and I can't go back together. Her dad had a relationship a couple of months after our separation, but it seems her father can't do wrong, only me. I've confronted my ex-husband, who only tells me that he won't stop answering her questions due to her wanting to know and that he sees no wrong. You are the idiot. First, I ended up in therapy at 15 because my parents never explained their divorce to me. My therapist stated that this is one of the things that most parents get wrong, and they use one of 2 excuses to rationalize it. One is that the child is too young. The other is that they're too embarrassed to have this conversation with their child. I don't know if that's as common as he claimed, but I know that I wanted to know why my parents weren't together at 6, and at 7, and still at 8. and so on and so forth. By 15, they were both remarried, and I still wanted to know what had happened. Second, you claim a divorce decree that prevents you from talking bad about each other, but he's breaking that decree. I would pursue legal recourse, or I'd just ignore it like your ex and tell the truth. I'm also pretty sure that telling the truth can't be seen as talking bad about him. Honestly, it sounds like you just don't want to talk to your daughter about it and are using this decree as an excuse not to. Have you cheated? No, he used to travel for work and I would stay weeks by myself, which I got used to. Our first year of marriage was terrific, with no issues as I thought, but eventually I noticed things changing a little at a time. He used to argue and then he would go out and come back home when he was done having fun, as he said he needed to de-stress. I ended up going through his phone and noticed multiple women he was having relationships with within the cities he would travel to for work. And worst of all, when he had to work, which was actually his vacation time, he was with another family than being with us. So all the cheating and lying, I couldn't take it anymore, so I decided to file for divorce. Then definitely you are the idiot for not clearing the air. Poor kid doesn't have any idea, and by not doing it first, you can make whatever he says sound plausible because he's already strained your relationship with her. I understand why you wouldn't want to, but regardless of age, the child needs an explanation. The fact that you know he's twisting things to make you look bad is reason enough to get her counseling so the therapist can help you navigate. Give her the tools via therapy to see through his BS. Good luck.